YouTube Oz going. The Goat House is back, and I'm excited for this one. We're ranking all the DBs a little different than the other ranking videos. You see, I have them in different categories, and we will get to 11 scouting reports as well after we go through those rankings. I think the most talked about thing after this video or with this video is going to be my takes on Cooper DeJean and what position we could see him playing at the next level here. We have a playlist full of these position rankings. We have all kinds of draft content, more to come leading up to the draft, live during day one, winners, losers, grades videos throughout all the days, and an analysis on Twitter as well. So join us. Important links pinned in the comments. Again, we'll go through our normal scouting reports, have 11 of those, but you see kind of the idea here. I decided to put the DBs all in one video. I think Cooper DeJean kind of made me do that because I don't really think it's bold at all, but I am ranking him as a safety, but he's a versatile piece. We'll talk about more about that, but we got 10 corners there. In the NFL prototype corner, we're looking for Jalen Ramsey, the Sauce Gardners, the Patrick Surtains, and then nickel, obviously the corner that plays inside, covers slot receivers, sometimes tight ends. Usually you want like a box safety to do that. But that nickel, teams look for what Trent McDuffie did last year. He has the ability to play outside. Mike Hilton's been one of the better slot corners in football. His ability to kind of do, we're looking for slot corners, not just cover the inside, have a little extra to your game. Mike Hilton's a very good blitzer. And a really good run defender as well. And there's a few guys that are that safety nickel hybrid. They play both, and that position is kind of taken over today's NFL. Antoine Whitfield, he plays a lot of free safety, but he plays a bit, as a slot guy as well. Kyle Hamilton does it a bit too. He plays every position basically, but he has a ton of snaps in the slot. But he's that rangy free safety at times when they need him to be. And then Brian Branch was the guy from last year's draft, like listed as a safety, but mainly a slot guy that can play safety. So that's what those guys are. And those types of guys are kind of taking over today's NFL. So that's why I made their own group. Strong safety, a guy that's going to, be able to get downhill, support the run, play in the box, can man up on tight ends. Derwin James is the guy that you kind of look at for strong safeties in today's game. Then free safety, a guy that's going to cover in the back end. Really rangy, playmaking ability, ball skills. Jesse Bates is that guy teams look for in that category. So you see the different rankings, and I do have scouting reports for 5 corners, 1 nickel, and then 5 safeties. We combine all those guys. But you take a look at the rankings. Well, maybe a surprise. I have Max Melton as my number 4 corner. We'll have a scouting report on him coming up in this video. Really just want to, because we're going to talk about the top 5, but 6 through 10. Ennis Rakestraw from Missouri, who's really fun to watch, almost like a downhill attacking corner, wants to be involved in every single play. More so, probably going to fit a zone defense. He had some injuries in the past, probably because of his play style. If he didn't have those injuries, I think we'd be talking about him in the late first round, which he has there's a chance he can go, probably go second. TJ Tampa from Iowa State's an interesting one. Kind of getting knocked right now because he had a slower 40, like in the 4.5s, and maybe his downfield work isn't that great. But when you watch these corners, you can't just go, all right, bad rep, good rep, bad rep. How many good and bad reps? You have to see kind of how they translate, what coverages they play well in. Are they going to switch schemes in the NFL? Would they play better in this? I think TJ Tampa could be really good, and specifically a cover 2 scheme, which a lot of teams want to run more of. Because he's physical at the line. He's really good at, reading the quarterback, specifically in cover 2, and on underneath routes and plays. So that kind of gets the most out of his strengths, and it takes away those weaknesses, like the downfield coverage in speed. You don't have to worry about too much in cover 2. Chris Abrams drained the other Missouri corner. I like him. He's lengthy on the outside. He's pretty athletic. He really covers the boundary well. I think he can, probably in zone more cover 4, but could do cover 2, and he can play man coverage as well. He was a top recruit at receiver coming out, which is great. Great going from receiver to corner. You learn that, both positions. So I like him. Renardo Green is a man coverage corner. How will he be in zone? That's the question with him, the Florida State corner, but really physical in press man, which is, can't really coach that. It's very difficult to do. He does it at a high level. The Kamari Lassiter is an instinctive physical corner from Georgia. Just didn't time well. Time the 4.6s. Otherwise, we'd be talking about him Probably number 7, honestly, possibly 6, but speed is big when it comes to corners. Nickels, we're gonna have a scouting report in a little bit here on Mikey Sainristil from Michigan. This is where it gets interesting. We got 2 guys that are in a row: DJ James from Auburn and Andrew Phillips from Kentucky. These are actually outside corners. I'm projecting them inside, but keep in mind, I think they can play inside, outside. I like both these guys a lot. DJ James, again, it's funny because I would actually compare both to Roger McCreary, who was an outside corner, and it's even funnier because at Auburn, DJ James is an Auburn corner, but McCreary was an outside corner that was lacking length, and he was better with his physicality underneath than he was covering downfield. So what did that say? All that, put that together, it says probably a nickel corner, but he didn't really play it at college. Well, he struggled down, playing outside and downfield right away at Tennessee with the Tennessee Titans. He's been fantastic on the inside. He's now a full-time inside corner. So that's where I see with DJ James. He's fantastic on both these guys. They both have basically the same scouting report. James and Phillips. I think James is smoother in coverage. I think Phillips is a little nastier attacking downhill, but James is pretty feisty in that category as well. But they struggle a little bit downfield. They're good at attacking underneath. They're physical underneath. They can tackle. These could be premium slot corners at the next level. Tyke Smith from Georgia, safety / nickel. I mean, most of his reps were at the nickel spot. It felt like they had 2 of the same guys in Tyke Smith and Javon Bullard, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But I do think Bullard has more of that safety potential. And then Terrion Jones, a really good man-covered slot corner from Florida State. Then the safety nickel, which I think is kind of taking over today's NFL. Put them where you need them most. They can cover in the back end, but you can bring them down the slot. Confuse the hell out of offenses, and they can cover from the slot. I'm putting Cooper DeJean there. We're going to talk about why in a little bit with his scouting report. And we're going to talk about Javon Bullard in the scouting reports as well. But these guys, I would like that. I like them playing safety, and I like them playing in the slot, basically. And then DeJean Taylor Demerson from Texas Tech. He's a good split field safety. So cover 4, cover 2. We're going to see him play safety, but he's really good in the slot. If he has to turn and run downfield, I think he's pretty solid as well. He's got some good recoverability. So he was productive too. He's productive, pretty good athlete. Wish he was longer. That's a guy that's going to go to a cover 2 or a split safety team, cover 2 or 2-man or cover 4, and they're going to use him as a split safety, and then sometimes they're going to use him in the slot. I think he's going to be solid at it. Strong safety, we will have scouting reports coming up for Cole Bishop and Jaden Hicks. Bishop from Utah, Hicks from Washington State. They both have some reps at free safety, but I like them at strong safety. They're really good around the box. Malik Mustafa from Wake Forest, really good run supporter. In that category, he's one of the best on this whole video, on this whole page you're looking at right now. Gets downhill. He's really good with his angles. He's just smart because he's coming from not super far back, but he's coming from far back, and he knows exactly the angle or the lane to take to make the proper tackle. And then Dom Hampton from Washington, an underrated strong safety. Free safety Tyler Nubin. We have a scouting report for him. We'll talk about him from Minnesota. The best free safety, coverage safety in the back end in this class. Cameron Kinchins, who is a freaky playmaker in the back end. He's just lacking the speed to be as rangy as you want him to be as a single high free, which he played. A couple years ago, he actually did play in the slot, so we can watch out for that, but probably ends up being a split safety guy. Kalen Bullock is fantastic in terms of coverage ability in the back end as a single high free safety. The range, athleticism, the length, the ball skills all stand out. They almost say first round, but he's out of place at times, really struggles against the run, will take bad angles, will take himself out of place. You're the last line of defense back there when it comes to safety, and he'll take himself right out of the play, and the runner will be gone. So that's kind of an issue. And Jalen Simpson from Auburn is almost in the same category. He's really good. I think Bullock is rangier, sideline to sideline or midfield to sideline. Jalen Simpson is really rangy, more coming downhill, but as a coverage guy and just reading the quarterback. And he'll have a flashy hit here and there, so will Bullock, but they take bad angles and they whiff on tackles. These guys got coverage skills of round 2 at worst, but there's other things they have to work on. So now we'll talk about my top 5 corners where I have scouting reports on. Terrion Arnold is my number 1 corner. You saw that in the last page. This is the most well-rounded, everything you want from a corner in this class. Like the other corners is like they can do this really, really well, but then there's this and that, and they might be scheme dependent. Terrion Arnold, I mean, he's got solid size, solid athleticism. He can play inside and out. He actually has a lot of reps inside, but a lot more snaps outside. I do like him outside, but he will go inside if you need him to. Different total style player, but how Devin Witherspoon was used, they kind of used him where they needed him most. He's an outside corner, but we could put him inside because he's got reps there. He's really solid there. He has the physicality there. He's quick enough for there. So Arnold could be used where you need him most. So he can play inside and out. His experience there, he's good enough there. He plays man and zone. I'm trying to figure out which one I like him better at. I think equally effective. Where he stands out the most is where he's one-on-one with a receiver that's cooking downfield, and the way he backpedals, uses his feet, opens up his hips, and sticks with them. Super sticky. So maybe he stands out a little more in terms of man coverage. The teams that, if a team's on the clock and all the corners are on the board and they want a guy that is pretty damn solid in man as well as zone, you're probably going with Arnold. We'll talk about Mitchell, a little bit more of a zone guy, but can play off man. But really good in press and off as well. I think, talk about it, he has across the board everything you look for a corner, but I think in the whole class, I definitely think he is the smoothest with his mechanics, with the footwork, with opening up your hips and running, staying, technically sound in coverage all across the board. Super quick, sticky playmaker. Became more of a playmaker as time went on there at Alabama. That's really the knock on him, which could be a little scary, is the second half of 2023, he looked absolutely elite. Like, okay, this guy's legit. Before then, like first half of the year this year and last year, the last time he played, it's like he's good, but is he first round good? I don't know if he is. So that's a little scary. It would be much worse if it was like the opposite. Like the last we saw him play, he looked like a second round pick. That'd be a concern, not a major concern. I mean, he'd be a second round or late first player then. But so it feels like he's getting better. So that's, I don't really have any knocks on him other than that. It's just maybe he's not super flashy, but I think he kind of added that to his game that second half of the year. But I like Arnold a lot. I liked him from the start. He's my number one corner, before people were talking about him in the first round. So I'm a big Arnold fan here. Number 2 is going to be Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo, who's getting a lot of hype right now, as he should. He's a big-time playmaker, very instinctive, incredible reading the quarterback and jumping routes. Like reading the quarterback's eyes, I'm jumping the route. It is a little easier in the MAC than against going to some of the bigger teams with the quarterbacks. Even if they're not the best quarterback, they kind of can fool you with their eyes a little bit, but he's as good as anyone doing that. Like he's NFL ready in that category. Marcus Peters, when I saw Marcus Peters at Washington, that playmaking ability, that instinctive playmaking ability, they had to read the quarterback, jump routes. There's a good comparison right there. Freak athlete, and why he's getting so much hype is he dominated the pre-draft process. Senior Bowl, those one-on-ones, the combine, like all the tests, the testing drills. My God, you cannot dominate the pre-draft process any more than that. And that stuff proves to be something, definitely something. Really good zone corner. He's solid in man too. Just off man and it's off zone as well, obviously. But the quarterbacks that are really good at kind of reading the quarterback and jumping routes, like seeing the field in front of you, they're better in zone, because a lot of time in man, you're locked in with the receiver. You have to turn and run with them downfield or wherever he goes. You're trying to mirror everything he's doing. So you really have to have a little bit more of a feel on where he's going. So you have to have a little bit more of an eye on him. So typically those corners, they're better in zone. Like you can sit and read the quarterback. So, and he played much more zone at Toledo, and that's where he worked. That's where he thrived in. So, he's going to continue to thrive as a zone corner. I particularly would like his work as a cover 4, cover 3 as well. I mean, I think he can play pretty much anything, but it's kind of like a projection. Cover 4, number 1, I'd say. Cover 4, cover 3. There's some fits for him at the top. Some of those teams, you look at the Falcons who are picking 9. That's getting Raheem Morrison there now. Big time cover 4 defensive guy. It looks like a pretty good fit. Colts are a big cover 3 team. That's probably the bottom line for him. They pick 15. Why pass on him? And this is, sometimes a little bit of a worry. I mean, it's already a worry and that's like the big transition, like going from college to NFL when it comes to corners, not only dealing with those freak receivers, but what's the biggest change is the NFL coaches, NFL teams want you to press way more, because if you can press, you can do more damage. If you can press and do all the other things with, what comes with being a corner, you can do a lot more. You can be that much of a game changer. You're not allowing the freebies underneath, because it's a really easy way for teams and smart NFL teams to beat you. If you're allowing things underneath, we're going to pick that apart all game. So a tough thing for evaluators sometimes is most of the time college corners don't press a ton compared to the NFL. There's a few every draft class. A lot of them are really lacking in the amount of reps that they press. Quinyon Mitchell is severely lacking in the press reps. 20 in 2023. That's it's insanely low how many press reps he's had. Is there a reason for that? He's played really far off the ball too. Like, he's almost safety range a lot of the time at corners. So it's going to be different in the NFL. NFL coaches are going to be like, hell no to that. You're not playing that far off the ball. If you see that in the NFL sometimes, that's because, corners not pressing, playing far off the ball, and then teams picking apart underneath. It's because they don't trust their corners. They know they don't have good corners. So that's the issue, and that's not a take on Mitchell. He's going to have to develop and do a little bit more. I think he can do that, but definitely at first, at least, he will struggle to press at legit NFL receivers, because he didn't even do it against the MAC receivers that he faced at college. So to me, that's a little tough. You have to really project, can he do this? How long it's going to take for him to develop in that category. I do think he's kind of a little specific on what type of team he needs. I mean, he can play man. Again, it's off man. I think it'd be, because the teams that play a lot of man in the NFL, they're going to press a shit ton. So he's going to really struggle at first, I think, if he goes to that. So I think I would really prefer a cover 4 team for him, or cover 3, but he needs like a team that's okay with running off coverage and kind of slowly mixing in the press for him, and they run a lot of zones. So he's a little more dependent on a scheme than Terrion Arnold. And then he was more of a playmaker. He's known as this big playmaker. He was more of a playmaker 2 years ago than last year. Last year, the reps were wins. He was reading the quarterback, jumping the routes. He'd go for the body catch. Sometimes he'd catch them. Look at the past year. Sometimes he would drop them. So you wish you just use, that all-around athletic ability that he has, and just in stride, catch it with his hands, and you're gone for pick 6, But he does have those big-time plays. So big-time corner that could be the first off the board. And then number 3, I got the other Alabama corner, Kool-Aid McKinstry, which somehow has become a little underrated. This guy was a top recruit, 5-star recruit, and he's been, this is Mr. Consistent here. He's always had good play. Like, I guess he hasn't had the flashiest, wow plays, but he's always been good. We've been projecting this guy as a top pick, a first-round pick for a long time, because he was a top recruit, and he's always been really good, and he was kind of known as that elite corner going into college football this year, and maybe the year before, and this is one for the future. And it almost feels like it's changed, but it shouldn't have changed. He's still really, really good. He's just as good as he's ever been, and he's been very consistent, very solid. Like his length, some of these guys aren't crazy length. Like Arnold and Mitchell have enough length. McKinstry's a little lengthier, and that's important when it comes to corners, to be able to keep a hand on the receivers, ride the hip a little bit, and then be able to reach for the ball, whether you're jumping or not, and be able to bring the hammer the ball out if you can reach it, going across the middle field as well. Very smart, another instinctive guy that just seems like he's understanding what the receiver's doing before he does it. That's the best way to put it for him. It's a little different than Mitchell's instincts, where it's like, I'm going to read the quarterback, and I'm really good at timing to jump that ball. Just smooth in his back pedal. These Alabama guys are polished. They're smooth, and I think they're scheme versatile as well. Really solid press. Had a ton of reps in press. Uses that length, and that he's got a pretty good build to him. Equally effective in man and zone, in my opinion. Because of the press ability. I think he'd be, why I like McKinstry, why I have him a top 3 corner, a lot of people don't, is because he's all around good, balanced. He can do everything. So I do like that. But if he played in a team that mixed it up, a defense that mixed it up a bit, but a lot of cover 2, I think he would really thrive. Cover 2, being able to press, make the quarterback and the receiver think you're in man coverage, let him go, get underneath if you have to. Really good at underneath things. I guess downfield he could be a little bit better. So that could be maybe why I pass on him. But I think you get the best out of him in a cover 2 scheme. But again, he can mix it up. I think it's a really safe pick. Like, you're going to get a good corner. He's not going to be super flashy, but you're going to get a really good corner. Solid athlete. Tested pretty well at his pro day, and that was while injured. And I'm wondering how long was he injured this year too. If that injury he didn't know about popped up at the pro day, he doesn't even know how long he was injured. It's interesting. I think there's more explosive guys. Like Mitchell's definitely more explosive. Wiggins is gonna be more. Melton, Arnold's a little bit more explosive. More of a lockdown on the playmaker on the ball. Like, he's not gonna make big time plays on the ball. He's That's right. That's why people, I think, are sleeping. He's not super flashy, so that's where I'm at with him. And then maybe a little bit of a surprise. It feels like everyone all of a sudden is high on Max Melton. I'm pretty damn high on Max Melton after watching him. It was just really fun. I think he's going to be much better in the NFL than he was in college, and he was pretty good in college. And he didn't really have the greatest supporting cast around him at Rutgers. I think it's a first-round player. If an NFL team, gets their hands on him and works with them. Do-it-all freak athlete. He's got great length, too. Length is huge with corners. He's got more length than the other guys we talked about, the next guys that we'll talk about. He's 5'11", but he's got crazy length, and he's physical. He's feisty. Like, he high motor guy, really good athlete, stands out, and he ran 4.3s, but he stands out in, like, the quickness department even more for me. Effective inside and out. I want to bring, if I'm a team, I want to bring him out in, and I want to use him in both. I want to use him where I need him most. I think he could be a McDuffie type player, which he played a lot in the slot, but does both. I'm using both. Really good in man and zone. Press man, off man, zone, same thing. Press, off. I think his man reps are pretty impressive. I think he has some upside in terms of a playmaker in zone, but I do think he's better in man. Slightly. Incredible change of directions. Going against Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin's got that, that freaky route running ability where his body's going one way, his feet, one way, but he ends up going the other way. Quick twitch, and he's going to get everybody on that initial change of direction. And Melton just caught right back up to him multiple occasions. Super impressive. Length, and the length kind of goes with the press ability. I love his press ability. Like, he is high motor press. Like, he'll really jam you. I've seen him do it from the slot as well, going against Roman Wilson, going against other good slot receivers. You don't see enough press from corners in general, and he's over here doing it from the slot. Being that confident, and then being able to run with them after being sticky in coverage. He's unique to me. He's unique. Definitely needs to do a better job of getting his head around a man coverage. Like, when he makes a play, it's usually zone, and he's keeping his eyes on the quarterback. But I do think his reps in man are what makes him stand out, which makes him a first round, because his ability to press, ability to run with anybody, do it from the inside and the out. But then when he's going downfield, the ball will be thrown, and he'll be all over that, like perfect coverage, but he won't know the ball is coming because he's not getting his head around. And against Michigan, they got a touchdown on him with that. It was great coverage. But so that's a big one. That's a big one, because a man coverage guy needs to be able to get his damn head around. But I think you can coach that thing. You can't coach those other things that he has. And he did give up a little more production than the other corners. Was there lockdown, lack of production, which is good to other receivers, I mean. But I do think that's because they have him doing everything, and he doesn't have the best supporting cast. Like, they have him one play outside, one play inside, man, pressing from the slot. He gave us some catches on good. I thought they were good coverage reps. So I think that would be the reason why. So I'm not that, and he didn't give up a ton of production. I'm not really worried about it. He actually got arrested. I'm blocking it right here. 2021. It was some paintball gun incident, young kid stuff. So hopefully that's behind him, but that's something you do got to worry about. And then Nate Wiggins at number 5. And I'll say right away, I probably would add Nate Wiggins at 3 or 4. But I do worry about, could he be an Emmanuel Forbes type player? I do worry about, a bit about, because he's really thin, he needs more strength, needs it for the physicality at the point of the catch. Some of these NFL receivers are masters at fighting off and winning contested catch battles, boxing out, or using their arms it's a legal push off. Like, it's not going to get called. I mean, Jamar Chase is one that really mastered that. A lot of guys are really doing it today. And he's not going to win those fights. He's not going to win those fights because how thin he is, the lack of physicality. And I'm rooting for the skinny guys. I played corner. I was always small. And then if he was like fully healthy throughout his career, it wouldn't be nearly as much of a problem. But if those two things go together, it's tough. He had an injury in 2022. I believe it was a hip flexor. 2023, a little bit of a knee thing. So you put those things together, it doesn't look as great. So how often is this guy going to be on the field? I'm pretty sure Max, Melton, Kool, and McKinstry are always going to be on the field. At least I'm confident. So that's a little bit of a thing. That's really what it is and why he's not a little higher, but he is super talented. He's talented enough to be number 3 on this list or 4. Elite athlete, impressive ball skills, will read the quarterback, will jump the routes. Very impressive doing that. And you're not going to catch him then. He's gone. Pretty solid in man. I wish he would press more. Pretty solid in man. Just seems like a really good cover 3 where he can cover a third of the field and read the quarterback. I think he has upside with more of that. UNC game, you watch North Carolina game, it's like, okay, this guy's going top 5, right? Top 10, top 5. And he was good the rest of the year too, but I guess going against Tez Walker, his speed, Drake May, and being able to do that, it's like, holy cow. But I wish there was a little bit more of that. The youngest of the top guys we're talking about, only 20. That's fantastic. So he has upside. If he puts on some strength, some little more thickness, some size, man, he's going to be good. But we talked about that being the big negative. But limited press reps, not as limited as Quinyon Mitchell, but like 90 or so reps. I talked about on Twitter, if you combine Mitchell and Wiggins press reps, like McKinstry alone has more, way more. Renardo Green has way more, but then you got guys like Melton and Arnold have more. So that's something, because he's like more of a man corner. So he's probably going to have to turn to playing more zone, which is fine. I think he'd be really good there. Actually has more upside there. But if you're a man corner and you have the speed to keep up with guys in man, that's the reason we like you, is because you have the speed to keep up with man, and you don't really press, and you don't really have the physicality to press. It's a little bit of an issue. And he's tall, but he's not super lengthy. 30-inch arms, that's actually a tiny bit undersized when it comes to corner length. So that was surprising. I thought he'd be longer than that. So there are a little bit of the negatives here. So that is kind of going into why I have him at 5. A scouting report for my number 1 nickel corner, which is Mikey Sainristil from Michigan. Playmaker. Playmaker. That's what you think of when you think Sainristil. Just always finding the ball, always getting his hands on the ball. Great ball skills. He reads the quarterback and the receiver. Like sometimes he'll run the route for the receiver. Like he'll be where the ball is supposed to be and it's there. It's fun. Like he's really small and he's a slot corner. So how early do you take him? But it wouldn't completely shock me if someone took him late 1, to be honest. Incredible athlete. I think he shows his toughness too, getting downhill, making hits one-on-one. I think he's better in zone and man, but I think he's really good in both. I think he's incredible in zone. Just sitting and reading kind of. So going to be that zone slot corner that also can play man. He can blitz too. A little sneaky in that category. Like little Mike Hilton who's been one of the best slot corners, like a total package slot corner for a long time. So he's a little Hilton like that. Why pass him? Undersized, but you don't need a nickel corner. He's not going to play outside at the next level. A lot of the production was like just happened to be in the right, and that's kind of a positive in a way, like he put himself in the right place, but a lot of it, the quarterback kind of just threw it, didn't really look through it where he thought the receiver was supposed to be, and he just happened to be right there, it falls in his lap, but he's got a knack for, finding the ball. Better underneath than downfield, but typically that is a slot corner thing, so not really too worried about that. I think he's been a really good slot corner for a long time. So about the safeties, Cooper DeJean, so this is probably the big one here. I'm actually listing as a safety, and he played corner at Iowa, obviously. Played a lot of corner, and he has reps at safety, and he has reps at nickel spot, and I think he's going to spend most of his time, maybe not right away, maybe a team tries him out at outside corner right now, but I think he spends most of his time in his career at safety and at the nickel spot, which some of the best defenders in football these recent years that have taken off are guys that kind of play, they play both. They play safety, they play nickel, they're unique, they're game changers. So he kind of fits what everyone's kind of looking for. But I think based on his play style and his strengths, his build, his weaknesses, that's why it says safety. And I'm not the first one to say it. People are talking about it. I've heard I heard a former GM say like he's going to end up a safety. It might not be right away, but he is going to end up a safety. And that guy talks to, teams in the league right now. They know what they're saying, and I see it. I see it because, really. I mean, he's a good zone defender. He's good at reading the entire field. I think he's good at more in the middle of the field than he is on the boundary than the sideline. He's a really good tackler, which you have to be a little bit better of a tackler in the open field as a safety, or if you play nickel rather than outside corner. You got to be a good tackler anywhere if you play defense. Really good tackler, getting downhill, wrapping up, seeing the whole field, making that tackle. So I think. Again, the boundary work, the sideline work. I think there's some if his my only negatives as a coverage guy come out there. So everything kind of tells me safety. I think he can be a lot better. I think he can be a good corner. I wouldn't take him in the first round as only an outside corner. I don't think that's going to happen though. I think a team's going to take him if they do play him outside. They're going to use him everywhere. But if you had to tell me he's only can play outside corner, I would not take him in the first round. Because some of those negatives, and he's limited to zone, which I think he can play man, though. He has some man reps, not enough, but I think he looked pretty good in those categories. Not amazing, but pretty good. He's also an excellent return man, which safety kind of goes into that too, I guess, maybe not, but different part of the game. But another really instinctive guy. But why pass him? You switch his position. Some teams are going, God, we're a good player. Where do we put him? I think he struggles a little bit on the outside to mirror receivers. I kind of just stick with them fully, I guess, in man, but just being able to mirror their quickness and their movement. He's a little tight, too, like opening up the hips, turning. It just only seems to show up on the outside. You really don't have to worry about that when you're playing safety, though. Needs to do a better job getting his head around. There's times where everything seems to be on the sideline. Like there's balls, like he's in position, but he's not getting the head around. Like he's letting the ball come in. So it just kind of goes into why he's more of a safety and a nickel guy. Like he's a really good ball player. Like he's after the ball, like in the play at all times, but a lot of it's in the middle of the field. So that goes into like why I think he's a safety. I think he could be really good there. And limited man reps, Iowa's known for more of their zone. So that is my takes on Cooper DeJean. I think a lot of people around the league would probably agree with me. I think they've kind of already said it, so I'm not the first one to say it. But, yeah. My number one strong safety would be my number two safety on the board. Cole Bishop. I like Cole Bishop a lot. Good size, freak athlete, tested very well at the combine. Really instinctive down in the box. Like he knows where to go. He knows when to blitz, when to hold off, know when to attack the run. It's too much high praise, but when Harrison Smith would come down in the box and just know the damn play, it's like there's a little bit of that in there, a little bit. Impressive blitzer. He gets home. He gets pressure. He has like a pass rusher amount of pressures in his career. But there's some safeties like that sometimes. Like like Jamal Adams. Like later in his career, that's his game. Like people call him an edge rusher because he's basically that, and he's really not that great at anything else anymore. But that's not Bishop. Like where he stands out more. He stands out in other places more. Like he's just a weapon that's like a bonus when it comes to blitzing. So somebody's going to have fun with him. Has reps at free safety. He's got pretty decent reps. I just see him way better at strong, but in the box is where he's best. But he's got pretty decent reps at free safety. Should thrive in zone. I like him better zone than man, but when you need him to man up in a tight end, I think you could beat him up. And you can definitely outrun him, run with him, but I think he'd be physical enough to be with them. But I do like him a little bit more in zone, in the box, being that strong safety. While I pass him, he's definitely lacking length, 20-inch or so arms. Always reading the quarterback, which I like, kind of goes into his instincts, but he'll kind of get fooled at times, like on the pump fake, or if you get to the NFL, some of these guys throwing these no-look passes now, like he'll get fooled by that stuff because he's just like insisting on his reads, which overall goes into a lot of the positives there. But I don't really have a lot of negatives on Cole Bishop. It's a football player. You're going to bring him in. He's going to do multiple different things for you. He's going to be a weapon. So I do like him a lot. And then Javon Bullard, who's overall my safety 3, but I have him safety 2 in terms of safety / nickel 2 behind Cooper DeJean, which again, teams are looking for these types of guys these days. From Georgia, I like him as a split field safety. Cover 2, cover 4. I prefer those. I probably cover 4 a little bit more so, but split safety where there's not just a high like free safety, that because he's not going to cover the whole field. So really good at working downhill, like attacks downhill very, very well when playing that role. But he played a lot in the slot. He probably would have played more there, but Tyke Smith played a lot there. He was really good there. He's really physical, getting downhill. That's where he's gonna play a split safety. He's gonna go to a team that runs cover 2 and cover 4, one or the other, both, and they're going to use him at safety and they're going to use him at slot corner, and that's what he's going to do, and he's going to be a pretty good football player there. He's not super flashy sometimes when attacking downhill, but I think he's got really good reactions too. He will continue to be versatile at the next level. Some will view him as only a nickel defender. Some people will go like he's a decent safety, needs specifics, he's dependent on certain schemes. Teams, there's definitely a handful of teams that are like, he's way better in the slot than he is safety, so that's kind of all he is. So I don't really fully agree, but I think that a lot of teams will think that. Not overly explosive. He tested better than expected. It was a big win at the combine for him, but there's more explosive guys. Then Tyler Nubin is actually the best true free safety in this class. I have him at safety 4 if we combine all of them, but then factor in that I'm throwing Cooper DeJean in with the safeties. Those guys are a little more athletic. There's a little bit more to their game, but I mean, if you're looking for a free safety, this is your guy. Specifically a zone free safety. Out of high school, he was a corner and he played some offense. They ran a lot of Wildcat. So the safety was new to him when coming into Minnesota, and he's done a really good job, and he's developed being smart, like being really instinctive, be able to jump routes, make a play. So if you need a zone free safety, this is your guy for the draft. Reads quarterback well. Pretty solid tackler coming downhill. Maybe not going to be super flashy, but he makes the play. I really like him as a cover 4 safety, coverage safety in the back end. That does make him a little scheme dependent. Like I don't think like you're going to need to have a free safety, and you're going to need to run a lot of zone. And I think he's much better cover 4 than cover 2. And if you want to run cover 3, like he's not perfect for a single high for the next level, I suppose, because he's not. I guess because of the athleticism, or the speed he's lacking from middle of the field to sideline. But he is a little dependent. He needs a cover 4, in my opinion, heavy cover 4 scheme. That's my take on him. I heard he had some interest from Bama and Notre Dame, and he didn't want to transfer, I think, because he really developed chemistry with Minnesota. PJ Fleck and his brother played at Minnesota as well, running back. So that's pretty high praise that Alabama and Notre Dame want him. So it's like, okay, whoa. He's really good. If he was a little more athletic, being a free safety, a little more speedy and explosive, which that vertical is a little bit higher than we'd be talking about him a lot higher, but those things definitely do matter. So he's not considered an explosive athlete. Definitely limited reps in man. Again, might be a little scheme dependent. So not every team's gonna really be interested in drafting him where he's gonna go. So yeah, and then Jaden Hicks gonna be the second best strong safety for me, and then safety number 5 out of all the safeties. From Washington State. He's fun. He's got some flashy moments where it's like whoa, what a play. Whether it's in coverage or in the backfield. Good size to him, good build to him. Strong safety with reps at free. Cole Bishop, we talked the same thing. Like strong safety, reps at free. If between the two, they're both strong safeties, but between the two, who's better at free? I'd definitely say Cole Bishop. Like not even close. Attacks well downfield, like high motor guy. I think he can man really well at tight ends. That would kind of be the difference, Bishop versus Hicks. I'd probably take Hicks manning up with guys down there, which is pretty important in today's NFL. Just makes big flashy plays. The interception he had against Washington was ridiculous downfield, almost with one hand covering a guy, single coverage downfield. Why passing him? If you're more of a zone team, maybe not. So yeah, sometimes kind of like trying to figure out where to go at zone, or he kind of just missed his responsibility there. He'll whiff on some tackles. He makes some flashy tackles, but he'll get downhill, put his head down, and he'll kind of whiff sometimes. I kind of talked about that. He had reps at free safety, but I don't really love his game at free safety, so he's better in the box than downfield. But it's a big riser for me and for a lot of people. Some people have him towards the top of the safety group. So yeah, he's fun. He's fun, and he'll seem to be a little bit of a trash talker, after plays as well. But yeah, I like how into it that he gets. But that's a guy to watch there on day 2. But that'll wrap it up. It's a big video. I love scouting the defensive backs. A lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me know your guys' thoughts, what you would change. Always talking to you guys on Twitter. Check out the playlist full of these videos. We'll be live during day one. We got you guys covered. Everything NFL draft here. You know the drill. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.